The night was silent, but it was not the silence of peace. It was the silence after destruction. Smoke still rose from broken towers, and fire painted the sky red. The ground was black with ash, and the wind carried the smell of death. In the middle of this broken world, a mother walked alone. Her skin was pale, her eyes hollow, her steps weak, but in her arms she carried a small bundle. Inside that bundle was her baby, sleeping but fragile. The child was her last reason to breathe, her last reason to move forward. The mother had no food, no water, and no safe shelter. She was running only on fear, hope, and love. Every beat of her heart whispered one promise: I will protect you until the end. But she knew the truth. Her people were gone. Her city was gone, her home was gone. There was no future left on this planet. Far in the distance, the sound of machines echoed. The enemy was still searching. Metal footsteps crushed the ruins, scanning, hunting, destroying. The mother tightened her arms around her child. Her body shook with fear, but she did not stop. Walking, she could not stop. If she stopped, the machines would find her. Her baby made a small cry. She quickly pressed the child to her chest, whispering soft words. Quiet, little one. Please. Please, she begged. Her tears burned, but she forced them back. The baby did not understand. How could it? It was too young, too innocent, but the sound of the cry could mean death. The mother moved down into a collapsed tunnel. Once it had been a road. Now it was a cave of broken stone and twisted steel. She crawled through the narrow space, holding the baby close. Every sharp edge cut her skin. Her knees bled. Her hands shook, but she did not let go. The child must not fall. The child must not suffer more than it already had. In the darkness, the mother sat for a moment, her back against the cold wall. Her breath was fast, her chest in pain. She closed her eyes, but sleep did not come. Instead, memories returned. She remembered the day the sky first burned. The ships arrived, huge and merciless. Her people had fought, but they were broken in days. She remembered the screams, the fire, the endless running. She had lost everyone, her family, her friends, her people. Now only she and the baby remained. Her heart asked a cruel question. Why live? Why continue to fight when there was nothing left? Why suffer hunger, thirst, and fear only to delay death? She looked at her child's face, soft and peaceful even in misery, and she knew the answer. She would not fight for herself. She would fight for this baby. Even if death was waiting, she would stand between it and the child. The sound of machines grew louder. Their searchlights passed across the ruins above. The mother held her breath. Her heart pounded so hard she thought the machines would hear it. She pressed her body over the baby, hiding it beneath her torn clothes. Minutes passed like hours. At last the light moved away. The footsteps faded. She dared to breathe again. Her body was weak, but her spirit pushed her forward. She left the tunnel and entered the ruins of a street. There was no light now, only the red glow of distant fire. The world looked like a graveyard, and she was the last mourner walking through it. Her steps grew slower. Her vision blurred. She had not eaten in days. Her lips were dry, her stomach empty. Her body begged her to fall, but every time she almost collapsed, the baby cried softly. That sound was her command. That sound kept her alive. As the night deepened, she reached the edge of the ruins. Beyond lay nothing but wilderness. Mountains of stone, rivers of ash, and endless sky. There was nowhere to go, but she kept moving. Her legs felt like they were made of stone, but she walked. She whispered again and again, "Just a little more, my child. Just a little more." In her heart, she knew the truth. She was not walking toward safety. She was walking toward the end. But if the end must come, she would make sure her baby was not afraid. She would hold the child close. She would give warmth until her last breath. At that moment, high in the sky, a light flashed. It was not fire, it was not a weapon, it was something different, a star falling, a ship descending. The mother froze, staring upward. For the first time in many days, her heart beat with something new. It was not fear, it was not despair. It was something fragile, almost forgotten. It was hope. And hope, even the smallest, was enough to keep. her alive for one more night. The mother stood in the shadow of broken walls, her baby pressed against her chest. The strange light in the sky still burned in her mind. But she had no time to wonder. The machines were still searching, and every second was dangerous. Her body wanted to collapse, but her spirit whispered, "Move. Keep moving." She stepped into the darkness of a ruined street. Every stone under her foot made a sound too loud in her ears. Every broken glass shard glittered like a signal to the hunters above. The baby shifted in her arms, letting out a weak cry. Her heart froze. Quickly, she rocked the child, whispering, "Shh, please, little one." The cry softened, but her fear grew deeper. The world around her was silent. But silence in this world was never safety. It was the pause before destruction. It was the quiet before machines found their target. She glanced. Porcian searchlights cut through the smoke like blades. She pressed her body close to a wall, holding her breath. The light passed only a few steps away. She could hear the buzzing sound of the enemy machines scanning the ruins. Her skin turned cold. She felt as if death was breathing right next to her face. When the sound finally faded, she stepped forward again. Her path led her through an old marketplace. Once, this place was full of voices, trade, and life. Now it was a grave of broken stalls and scattered bones. She remembered walking here with her people, buying food, laughing, speaking freely. Now she was walking alone, her only company a starving baby and the ghost of memory. She found a broken cart, half covered with cloth. For a moment she thought she saw food inside. Her hands trembled as she reached out, but it was only dust and ash. Her stomach twisted, but she said nothing. She looked at her baby, the child's eyes half open, weak, searching. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered, "I am sorry, my child. So sorry." A new sound shook the ground. The machines were coming closer. Heavy metal steps echoed through the ruins. She could not stay here. She had to move. Her feet carried her into a narrow alley, dark and filled with shadows. The air smelled of smoke and burned metal, but it was her only path. She walked as fast as she could, but her body was weak. Her legs shook. Her breath came in sharp gasps. She leaned against a wall for a moment, closing her eyes. In her mind, she heard her people's last screams. She heard the fire falling from the sky. She saw again the moment she lost her family. Her tears fell, but she wiped them quickly. She could not afford weakness. Not now, not with the baby in her arms. Suddenly, a crash rang out. A wall nearby collapsed with a roar. Dust filled the air, and the baby started crying. She clutched the child to her chest, rocking desperately, but the sound had already betrayed her. The machines turned toward the noise. Their red lights glowed in the smoke like eyes of demons. Her heart raced. She looked around. There was no way forward, no way back. Only one path remained. A broken tunnel below the ruins. She dropped to her knees, crawling through the sharp stones. Every scrape cut her skin. Every step filled her mouth with dust. The baby cried louder, choking on the air. "Please," she whispered. "Please, just a little longer." The tunnel opened into an underground chamber. It was dark, cold, and silent. She could hear her own heartbeat echoing. For a moment, she thought she was safe. But then she heard the metallic hum of the machines above. They were scanning, searching. The sound vibrated through the stone. She pressed her back against the wall, clutching the baby tightly. Every nerve in her body screamed to run, but there was nowhere to go. Minutes passed like hours. The hum grew louder, then softer, then louder again. Her lips moved in silent prayer, not for herself but for the child. "If they take me, let them not take you. If I must die, let you live." The sound of the machines began to fade. Slowly, painfully, silence returned. She did not move for a long time. Her body was frozen. Her arms stiff from holding the baby so tight. At last, she dared to breathe. The baby, exhausted from crying, fell into a soft sleep. She kissed the child's forehead, whispering, "You are my strength, little one. Without you, I would have given up already." Her eyes turned upward, through a crack in the ceiling. She saw the sky, dark and endless, and there, the strange light again, moving across the stars. It was not fire. It was not an enemy weapon. It was different, steady, alive. Her heart trembled with both fear and hope. What was it? A new enemy? Or salvation? The mother did not know, but she knew this. She had to keep moving. She had to find the source of that light, because if it was hope, it was the only hope left in this dead world. She rose slowly, holding the baby close. Her legs were weak, her body broken, but her spirit whispered again, "Move, keep moving." And so, in the silence of ruins, the mother continued her escape, one step after another into the unknown. The night grew colder as the mother walked through the ruins. Her arms ached from carrying the baby, but she did not stop. Every step felt heavier than the last, yet her eyes kept lifting toward the sky. The strange light still moved among the stars, steady, unbroken. It was not falling like fire. It was not hunting like the enemy machines. It was something different, something she could not understand. The baby stirred in her arms, weak and restless. The small cry echoed in the empty street. She quickly hushed the sound, pressing the child against her chest. But in the silence, the cry seemed to travel far, too far, and then she heard it. A new sound in the distance, not metal footsteps, not burning engines. It was softer, deeper, almost human. Her heart jumped. She crouched low, hiding behind a collapsed wall. Her eyes searched the darkness. And then she saw them. Figures moved across the ruins, covered in strange armor. Their suits shone with faint blue lights glowing against the night. Their steps were steady, careful, almost cautious. They were not the enemy machines she had feared. They looked alive. But her fear only grew sharper, because she remembered the stories. Her people had whispered them for years. Humans bring only destruction. They burn worlds. They are monsters in flesh. She clutched her baby tighter, her body trembling. If these were humans, then her journey had ended. The soldiers spread out, scanning the ruins with strange devices. One of them raised a small light, shining it across the broken street. The beam passed dangerously close to her hiding place. She pressed her back against the wall, her breath locked in her chest. The baby made a soft whimper. Her heart froze. The light stopped. The soldier tilted his helmet, listening. And then he began to move toward her. The mother's mind screamed for escape, but there was nowhere to run. Her legs were weak, her body broken. She thought of one final choice: to end it herself, to make sure the humans never touched her child. Her hands trembled as she looked at the sharp stone beside her. She closed her eyes, whispering to the baby, "If this is the end, we will face it together." But the child cried louder, breaking the silence. The sound cut through her fear like a knife. She could not do it. She could not harm her baby, not even to protect it. Her tears fell, her body shaking. She knew the humans had heard. Her hiding was over. The soldier stepped closer, his armor shining faintly. Another soldier followed behind, weapons ready. The mother rose slowly, her body trembling. She held the baby tightly, her eyes full of terror. She did not run, she did not scream. She only stood there, a broken figure in the night. The soldiers raised their weapons, aiming directly at her chest. The mother closed her eyes, waiting for the end, but the end did not come. Instead, a voice spoke through the night. It was calm, low, almost gentle. The words were strange, foreign, but the tone carried no hate. The mother opened her eyes. The first soldier stepped closer, lowering his weapon. He moved slowly, carefully, like he did not want to frighten her. His gloved hand reached up, and he touched the side of his helmet. With a hiss, the helmet lifted. For the first time, she saw his face. It was not the face of a monster. It was tired, scarred, but human, truly human. His eyes were steady, not cruel. He looked at her, then at the child in her arms. Something softened in his expression. He spoke again, his words quiet, almost like a whisper. She did not understand the language, but she understood the feeling. It was not anger. It was not threat. It was compassion. The second soldier lowered his weapon as well. He opened a small pack at his side, pulling out a pouch of water. Slowly, carefully, he placed it on the ground between them. The mother's eyes widened. She could not believe what she was seeing. The stories had told her humans were destroyers, but here they were offering her life. Her hands shook as she looked at the pouch. Her throat burned with thirst. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. But her fear chained her in place. What if it was a trick? What if the moment she reached for it, they would strike? The baby whimpered again, weak and hungry. Her heart broke. Slowly, with trembling fingers, she reached for the pouch. The soldiers did not move. They only watched, silent and patient. She held the water to her baby's lips. The child drank greedily, tiny sounds of relief breaking the silence. Tears filled her eyes as she watched her baby take in life. Her chest ached. Her breath came in shudders. The soldier without the helmet watched quietly, and in his eyes she saw something she had not seen in many days. Warmth. The mother sank to her knees, holding the baby close. Her heart battled with fear and disbelief. She had been ready to die, but now, for the first time, she wondered if she had been wrong. If the stories of humans had been lies, if there was still a chance, a small chance, that she and her child might live. And in the ruins of a broken world, for the first time in days, she felt not despair, not death, but the fragile touch of hope. The mother knelt in the ruins, her baby drinking the last drops of water. The humans stood before her, their weapons lowered, their faces calm. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She could not believe what she was seeing. Were these really the destroyers her people had feared? Or was this a trap waiting to close around her? Her body shook with exhaustion, but her mind was racing. Every thought split into two paths. One path told her to trust them, to accept their help. The other whispered that this was foolish, that the moment she let her guard down, both she and the baby would die. She looked at her child sleeping now, comforted by water. Her lips trembled. She had sworn to protect this life. But how? By accepting help from strangers she was taught to fear, or by running again into the night where death waited in silence. The soldier without a helmet spoke again, his voice low and steady. She could not understand the words, but the tone was clear, gentle, careful, almost pleading. He did not step closer, he did not raise his weapon. He only waited. The second soldier glanced at him, then at her. Their eyes carried no anger, only patience, but patience did not erase fear. The mother rose to her feet, holding the baby tighter. Her back pressed against the cold wall. Her eyes darted toward the shadows of the alley. Escape still called to her. If she ran now, maybe she could vanish, maybe she could hide again in the dark. Yet deep inside she knew the truth. She could not run much longer. Her body was broken, her strength nearly gone. And the baby, her child, was too weak to survive another night without food. If she ran, death would follow. If she stayed, death might still come. It was a choice without safety. The baby stirred, whimpering softly. Her heart cracked at the sound. Her arms tightened protectively. Her people had died. Her world had fallen. But she could not let this child be taken. Not by machines. Not by hunger. Not even by humans. Her eyes fell on a sharp stone nearby. Her hand trembled as it hovered over it. A single motion, and she could end it. No enemy would take her baby alive. They would leave this world together, safe in death. Tears filled her eyes as her fingers brushed the stone. Her heart screamed in silence. Could she truly do this? Could she take the breath of her child with her own hands? The soldier stepped forward slowly. His eyes widened as he saw her trembling hand. He raised his empty palm, shaking his head. The second soldier quickly placed his weapon on the ground. Both of them moved carefully, like men approaching a frightened animal. The mother froze, the stone still in her hand. Her tears fell fast now, dripping onto the child's blanket. She did not understand their words, but she understood their eyes. They were begging her, not threatening her. For a long moment the world stopped. It was only her baby, and these two strange humans. The stone shook in her grip, her body torn between love and despair. She wanted to protect her baby, but she could not decide if protection meant death or life. The soldier, without the helmet, slowly reached into his pouch. He pulled out a small object, a packet of food. He placed it gently on the ground, beside the empty water pouch. Then he stepped back, raising both hands. His voice came again, soft and steady. She could not understand, but the meaning was clear. Eat, live, trust. Her knees weakened, her breath shaking. The stone slipped from her fingers, falling to the ground with a dull sound. Her baby stirred again, opening small, tired eyes. The child looked at her, fragile, innocent, alive. Her heart broke completely. She dropped to her knees, clutching the baby. Her tears wet the child's face. I cannot let you go," she whispered. "I will try, my little one, I will try." Slowly, with trembling hands, she reached for the packet. She opened it carefully, sniffing the strange smell. The baby's lips touched the food, and for the first time in days, her child ate. Soft sounds of hunger turned into soft sounds of relief. Her chest ached with joy and pain together. She had chosen life, at least for this moment. The soldiers stood quietly, watching without moving. They did not interrupt, they did not hurry her, they only waited. The mother looked at them through her tears. Her voice trembled, whispering words they could not understand. Why? Why help? Me? They did not answer, not in her language, but their silence was enough. Because in their eyes she saw no cruelty, no hunger for destruction. She saw something she had thought lost forever. She saw humanity, and in the darkness of a ruined world, she realized that the choice she had made tonight was not only about life or death, it was about trust. It was about hope. And for the first time she allowed a small part of her heart to believe that maybe, just maybe, humanity was not the end, but the beginning. The mother sat on the cold ground, her baby pressed against her chest. The child was no longer crying, its small lips moving as it ate. For the first time in many days, the sound of hunger was replaced by the sound of life. Tears rolled down the mother's face. Not from despair this time, but from fragile relief. The two humans stood nearby, their armor glowing faintly in the dark. They kept their weapons lowered, their eyes fixed on her. Not with anger, not with cruelty, but with patience. It was strange, almost impossible. She had been told humans were destroyers. Yet here they were, waiting silently while she fed her baby. The soldier without a helmet knelt down slowly. He did not come too close, but close enough that she could see his face in the dim light. His expression was tired, scarred by battles, yet there was no hatred, only a quiet strength. He spoke again, his voice low, steady, gentle. She could not understand the words, but the sound felt like warmth, like fire in a frozen night. The second soldier moved carefully, placing another pouch of water on the ground. He stepped back, raising his hands to show no threat. The mother's eyes followed every motion, her body tense. But when the baby reached for the water, she knew she had no choice. She opened the pouch and held it to the child's lips. The baby drank greedily, and soft relief spread across its face. The mother's heart softened. Her fear did not vanish, but it bent beneath the weight of gratitude. For so long, she had walked through silence. Every step had been surrounded by death. But now, there was sound. Not of machines, not of fire, but of human voices, calm and steady. She felt strange, torn between instinct and need. Her instinct screamed to run, to protect, but her need whispered to stay, to trust. The helmetless soldier reached into his pouch again. This time he pulled out a thin blanket. He unfolded it slowly and placed it on the ground before her. Then, he tapped his chest, then pointed to the baby. His meaning was clear. She looked at the blanket, then at him. Her eyes narrowed with caution, but her baby shivered against her chest. The night was cold, colder than her weak body could fight. At last, she bent down and lifted the blanket. She wrapped it around the child, feeling the warmth spread instantly. The baby sighed softly, falling into deeper sleep. Her tears came again, but they were different tears. For the first time, she was not crying for death. She was crying for life. The soldiers exchanged a glance. One gave a short nod, the other sighed with relief. The mother noticed, and something shifted inside her. Perhaps they were not monsters. Perhaps they were just soldiers like her people once were, fighting, surviving, trying. Still, doubt lived inside her heart. Her people had been destroyed. Her world burned. Could kindness survive in the same race that brought destruction? She did not know. But she knew this moment was real. The food, the water, the blanket, they were real. And her baby's breath was stronger now. That was enough for her to hold on. Hours passed in silence, broken only by the baby's soft breathing. The humans did not force her to move. They did not raise their weapons. They only stayed nearby, watching the shadows of the ruins, protecting or maybe waiting. She did not know which. The sky above grew lighter. Dawn crept across the broken city. The fires burned lower, the smoke rising slowly into the air. For the first time since the war began, she saw the pale glow of morning. It felt like the world itself had remembered light. The soldier without a helmet stood and stretched, his movements slow, heavy, but calm. He turned to her, then pointed toward the horizon. He spoke, again gesturing with his hands. He tapped his chest, then pointed to her, then made a walking motion. She understood enough. He wanted her to follow. Fear gripped her again. If she followed, she would place her life and her baby's life in their hands. If she refused, she would return to the darkness. No food, no water, no safety. She looked at her child, wrapped warmly, breathing softly. Her lips trembled as she kissed the baby's forehead. She whispered, "What should I do, little one? Should we trust them?" The baby gave no answer, only the quiet rhythm of sleep. But that rhythm was stronger now, alive. And that was the answer she needed. She took a deep breath, her body trembling. Slowly, carefully, she nodded. She would walk with them. At least. For now, the soldiers did not celebrate. They only gave short nods in return. Then they began to move slowly, carefully. The helmetless one stayed closer to her side. The other walked ahead, scanning the ruins with sharp eyes. They moved as a unit, protecting, guiding. The mother followed, her baby in her arms. Her steps were heavy, but they carried a fragile seed of trust. And as the morning light touched the ruins, the mother realized that for the first time since the fall of her world, she was not walking toward death. She was walking toward something unknown. And unknown for the first time did not mean despair. It meant possibility. It meant warmth. The ruins stretched endlessly before them. The mother walked with slow steps, the baby in her arms wrapped in the thin human blanket. The two soldiers moved around her, their armor glowing faintly, their weapons lowered but ready. Every sound of the broken city echoed, the crack of falling stones, the distant hum of machines, the whisper of ash in the wind. Each sound made her body tense, yet she kept walking, because for the first time, she was not walking alone. Her eyes stayed on the man without a helmet. His face looked human, so different from the monsters she had been told about. When their eyes met, he always gave a short nod, calm and steady. It was a gesture so simple, yet it carried a strange strength. It told her, "You are safe for now," but could she believe it? Her heart was a battlefield of fear and gratitude. One voice whispered, "They will betray you." Another whispered, "They saved your child." She looked at the baby, sleeping softly against her chest. The child's face was calmer now, no longer twisted. By hunger, the tiny breaths were stronger, steadier. This was proof, undeniable proof. The humans had given life, not death. The second soldier walked ahead, scanning every shadow with sharp movements. He was cautious, like a hunter protecting his pack. The mother noticed how often he turned back to look at her, not with hatred, but as if checking that she was still there. Still safe. It felt strange. So many nights she had walked in silence, believing no one cared if she lived or died. But now 2 strangers guarded her steps. The baby stirred, a soft whimper escaping. The mother stopped, rocking gently, whispering soft words. The helmetless soldier paused too, waiting patiently. His eyes softened when he looked at the child. The mother noticed, and something in her heart shifted. This was not the face of a destroyer. This was the face of someone who understood what it meant to protect. They reached a ruined shelter, half covered by collapsed stone. The soldiers stopped and gestured for her to enter. She hesitated, her body tense. A dark place could mean a trap. But the helmetless soldier knelt down and touched the ground. He placed his weapon aside and pointed inside. Then he tapped his chest and said something softly. The tone was clear. Rest. Her body was weak, her legs shaking. She stepped inside carefully, holding her baby close. The chamber was cold, but at least it was hidden from the open sky. The soldiers stayed near the entrance, one watching the outside, the other watching her. She lowered herself to the ground, sitting against the stone. Her arms were stiff from holding the baby, but she refused to let go. The second soldier opened another packet of food. He pushed it gently across the floor toward her. Her hands shook as she picked it up. It smelled strange, but her baby's eyes opened again, hungry, reaching. She fed the child slowly, carefully. The baby swallowed eagerly, and color returned to its pale face. The mother's tears fell, but this time they were not bitter. They were warm. Her eyes lifted to the soldiers. She whispered in her own language, though she knew they could not understand. Why are you helping me? Why save us? The helmetless soldier tilted his head. He pointed to his chest, then to her, then to the baby. Then he placed his hand flat over his heart. She did not know the words, but she understood the meaning. It was simple, because life matters. Her chest tightened with emotion. For so long she had believed her people's stories, that humans were monsters, destroyers, without mercy. But here mercy was alive before her. Mercy was food in her baby's mouth, water on her lips, a blanket on her child. Mercy was 2 strangers standing guard while she closed her eyes. For the first time in many days, she dared to rest. Her head leaned back against the cold wall, her eyelids heavy. She let her body loosen, if only for a moment. She let herself trust. The soldiers spoke softly to each other, their voices low. She could not understand the language, but she could feel the tone, serious, tired, determined. They were not careless men, they were burdened men. And somehow, their burden had made space for her and her child. Hours passed in silence. The Atais baby slept peacefully, wrapped warmly in the blanket. The mother's body rested, though her mind never fully stopped. When she opened her eyes again, she found the soldier without a helmet sitting near her, not close enough to frighten her, but close enough to watch. His eyes were not on her, but on the shadows beyond the shelter. He was keeping watch, protecting. She stared at him for a long moment. Her heart still carried fear, but fear no longer ruled her. For the first time, trust had entered her soul. It was small, fragile, like a candle in the dark, but it was real. She closed her eyes again and whispered softly, Maybe I was wrong about you." And though he did not understand her words, the soldier turned his head at that moment. Their eyes met. And in the silence, something passed between them. Not language, not words, but the first fragile thread of trust, a thread strong enough to hold her hope for one more day. The morning sun rose over the ruins. Golden light touched the broken stones, cutting through the smoke. The mother stood at the edge of the shelter, her baby resting in her arms, wrapped in the human blanket. The soldiers were ready to move again, their armor shining faintly in the dawn. They looked toward the horizon, pointing to the distant hills. Their mission was not finished, but now their mission included her. Her body trembled as she stepped forward. Every instinct still whispered of danger, of betrayal. Yet the warmth she had felt last night pushed her feet onward. Her baby's soft breaths were stronger, her child's skin warmer. That was proof. Enough to keep walking, because if these humans had wanted her dead, she would not have seen this sunrise. The soldier without the helmet walked beside her. He stayed close enough to protect, but not close enough to trap. The second soldier moved ahead, scanning the ruins with careful eyes. Every few moments he turned back to check on them. The mother noticed the small details. The way he slowed his steps so she could keep up. The way they both moved cautiously, as if she and her child were precious cargo. These small acts whispered louder than words. They whispered of care. As they walked, she thought of her people, the stories they had told about humans, the warnings, the fear, the hate. She had believed those stories with all her heart. But now her heart was divided, because the hands that had once destroyed had also given her life. Could both truths exist? Could humans be both destroyers and saviors? The baby stirred, letting out a small cry. The mother paused, rocking softly. The helmetless soldier stopped as well, kneeling beside her. He reached into his pouch and pulled out another packet of food. He placed it gently in her hand, his eyes calm, steady. Her fingers brushed his glove for the first time. A spark of fear ran through her, but it was followed by something else, something warmer. Something like trust. The road grew harder as they reached the hills. The path was sharp with stones, the air heavy with smoke. The mother's legs shook, her strength nearly gone. The baby's weight pressed heavily against her chest. She stumbled once, falling to her knees. The soldier caught her before she could collapse, his hands strong, steady, lifting her carefully. For a moment, her body froze in fear, but he did not harm her. He only steadied her, and when she looked into his eyes, she saw no cruelty. She saw determination. The second soldier called out, his voice sharp. He had seen movement ahead. The mother's heart raced, clutching her, baby close. The soldiers raised their weapons, their bodies tense from the shadows. A machine emerged, its red eye glowing, scanning, hunting. The mother gasped, fear stabbing through her chest. But before she could move, the soldiers acted, their weapons fired, bright light cutting through the smoke. The machine staggered, sparks flying. It fell with a crash, broken and silent. The mother stared in shock. Not only had the humans saved her from hunger, they had saved her from death. Again, she whispered softly, almost to herself, "You are not monsters." The baby stirred against her chest but did not cry. It was as if the child too felt safe for the first time. Hours passed as they climbed higher into the hills. At last the ruins fell behind them, and before them rose something new. A ship, resting in a hidden valley, shining in the light. Its surface reflected the morning sun, strong and alive. The mother froze, her breath caught in her throat. This was not a machine of death. This was a vessel of life. The soldiers guided her forward, their movements gentle but firm. Her heart raced, torn between fear and awe. At the foot of the ship, more humans waited. Some carried weapons, some carried supplies. When they saw her, their eyes widened, their voices rose in surprise, but no one aimed a gun at her. Instead, they parted, allowing her to walk inside. The soldier without a helmet stayed by her side, guiding, protecting. Inside, the air was warm, the light brighter. She sank to the floor, her baby still in her arms. Tears flowed freely down her cheeks. She whispered to her child, her voice breaking, "We were ready to die, little one. Ready to face the end." Her lips touched the baby's forehead, her tears falling onto soft skin. But humanity gave us life. Humanity gave us hope. The soldier knelt beside her, placing his hand gently on his chest again. She looked at him, her eyes full of disbelief and gratitude. And in that moment she understood. The warmth of humanity was not just in their hands. It was in their choices. It was in their willingness to protect what was not their own. It was, in the way they carried hope even through war. The ship's engines rumbled softly, ready to rise. The mother closed her eyes, holding her baby close. For the first time in many days, she did not feel the weight of despair. She felt light. She felt safe. And as the ship lifted into the sky, leaving the broken world behind, she whispered a final promise. "We will live, little one, because humanity's light has reached us."